Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BETSPERTS, who are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. And it is not only a fabulous Fallica Football Friday, we finally have the conference championship games. And Andy, I know that, we're generally not the biggest college football fans, but this weekend has kind of a special feel to it, doesn't it?
No, for sure. And I love that you get a couple on Friday. We were just complaining a little bit about the scheduling. I would have loved if one, I'm not sure how early you could actually start one of these. I suppose if it's, the UTSA game could start at like 6 Eastern if you really wanted to, but man, some overlap in the tonight's games. Obviously a lot of overlap tomorrow, but tons of good games firing off right away in the morning. And yeah, we've got Chris Fallica here to talk through a bunch of these, and we're probably just start with the, I don't even know if it's the biggest big one. It's wild seeing the spread here. I mean, if we pay enough attention or we're not super surprised, but anybody who doesn't pay attention, who is suddenly getting into it, seeing Alabama as pert near a touchdown dog, it does not happen too often. I'm sure we've seen that stat floating around. It's been what, like forever many years or games or how often since they were even a dog. But yeah, neutral site dog to the Bulldogs. And yeah, are you making any bets on this one, Chris?
Yeah, it's second time in 165 games that Alabama's been an underdog. It's crazy. I almost wonder. I almost think there's been just an overreaction based on last week's game. Last week at this time, you would have gotten 3.5 and about 145 or so on the money line. Now you're looking at 6.5 and getting around 210, 220 on the money line. So if you like Alabama and you're gonna keep the faith, you're gonna get rewarded much better than you would last week. And remember, Jameson Williams was missed a good part of that game. He's not suspended for this game, so that will help the Alabama offense. Obviously, offensively, we're going to see how they're able to offset their lack of running game. I would expect a lot of quick short passes to kind of serve as a running game, but I'm sure Lanning and Muschamp and Kirby, you're going to expect that as well. So I, I, st- I still think it's an under type game. I know the number has come down a good bit, but if you look at Georgia uh, since 2018, ranked games that they have played, 13 of the 16 have gone under the total. And we're looking at a lot of games where the total was mid low 40s and they still went under. So despite you not getting the best number anymore, I still think under is probably the best way to play this.
I hadn't even thought about the total, but you kind of have a point there. And even if Alabama doesn't prevail, it's a hell of a Georgia defense. I mean, they've been holding people
Yeah.
to hardly anything. They have a couple shutouts on their resume and too. And Dan, just a little earlier off the air, producer Dan mentioned, he said, like, if you like Bama, he's like, it might just behoove you to take the money line. And I even went a step further. I
Yeah.
said, like,
Yeah.
if you like Bama, if you think Bama wins this game, you can get 7-1, maybe even better on them to win it all. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
think they win the game and you want to take some money line, maybe take a few bucks and put it on them to win the title as well.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling what Dan was talking. It's either Georgia can't get over the mental hurdle, Alabama shows up angry, disrespected as an underdog, wins outright, or Georgia shows what they've shown all year long that they are the best team in the country. They play loose, play free, they play energized, and they go out and blow Alabama out. So yeah, I could see this either lay the points with Georgia or Alabama money line.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also, I guess the other implication question, if Alabama loses this game, or how does Alabama lose this game and then get kind of pushed out of the top four of the playoff? I think that's almost the more interesting situation here. There's maybe a little bit of assumption that if Alabama loses, they can still get in with 2 losses. But I mean, if Georgia comes out here and really kind of beats them by a couple scores and does what they've kind of done all year to teams, do you think Alabama gets squeezed out?
Yeah, I do. I think Alabama has to win in order to get in. I think with 2 losses, look, we've been in this situation before, especially dealing with the SEC championship game, where in 2018 we knew Georgia and Alabama were both two of the best four teams in the country. We knew in 2019 Georgia and LSU were two of the best four teams in the country, and it's almost like that penalty for having to play that 1 versus 2 or one versus 3 matchup in that game, where look, the committee has always erred on the side of more deserving over best. So look, it's happened to Georgia a couple of times where they were deserving to where they were best and they didn't get in because they had 2 losses. And I think that would be the case here on Sunday. If Alabama were to lose, they'll have those 2 losses, and I think the committee will wind up putting a team that is not as good with 1 loss in ahead of them.
Yeah, that's the most interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and such is life. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Although, like, I'm sitting here 2 weeks ago, I was very much convinced that Ohio State was going to be in the title game. So I don't know. Sometimes I like how it changes on a dime.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah, and you have to do it that way because that makes the games and what you do somewhat count. You just don't want to go too far, but if we were just wanted the best 4 teams, just disregard everything that's going on. Don't even play the games on Saturday, and put Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan in the 4 right now because those are the 4 best teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody who could sneak in, actually, maybe either of these. I don't know where was Baylor ranked, but Oklahoma State, obviously, big win. They needed that to set up this. I'm not sure if it was better to face Baylor or to face Oklahoma again. I think I probably lean this way to boost their chances, getting 2 wins over 2 ranked programs, 2 consecutive weeks like this. But they are a 5-point favorite here hosting. And I mean, is this how they sneak in? And this is
And,
not a team we really talked about like 2-3 weeks ago getting into the playoff, but all of a sudden they're right at the precipice.
no, I think they were like plus 1,000 or so a few weeks ago to wind up making the playoffs. So if you're able to get that number, that's insane. And I don't think it takes much. I think it takes a win for them and an Alabama loss, and I think they're in. Uh, I didn't really have a great feel on this game at the start, but at the same time, now you kind of look. I've had a week to kind of absorb everything. I don't think Bohanon's going to play for Baylor, which is a big deal. We saw their offense last week with the first time starter, and it was not as good without Bohanon in there. And the first meeting with Oklahoma State, Baylor forced 3 turnovers, didn't turn the ball over, and they still lost by double digits. So now you're telling me, backup quarterback, you're probably not going to get a 3-0 turnover margin like you did last time. Um, and I would kind of liken it to a couple weeks ago when TCU beat Baylor and they had Duggan was out and you had the first time starter in there in Morris. Came out and beat Baylor. The following week, they played Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State had a week of tape on the backup, and they were able to prepare for him. It's kind of a guy in the same situation here. Now you got a week to prepare for the backup, and you know what he can do. I can see myself talking myself onto Oklahoma State by the time kickoff gets here tomorrow.
I think that's kind of where I landed. Probably also because
Yeah.
I don't think I've watched a single Baylor game all year. I just I'm fully incepted into the Okie State thing. Up up here, God, almost. There was a path for my Gophers. I'm not a huge Gophers fan, but I mean they're the local team. There was a path with a couple weeks to go for them to go into the conference title game,
Yeah.
which was kind of weird because it's not like I was excited about this team. We get another year of Tanner Morgan though. Like he's coming back for year 7 or 8 next year, and we'll see how the squad does next year. But they did get to play spoiler, knock. I mean, that was a big win. You knock Wisconsin out, you get the axe. That was
Yep.
fun for them. I'm sure that was a nice way to end the regular season. And now Iowa faces Michigan off a huge win. And yeah, this is another one we talked off a little off the air with Dan earlier. It's like is the schools of thoughts is like, are you so mentally let down after finally getting over that hump of the team from down south? Or is it just like, hey, this team is a lot better than anybody thought. It's been all year and they were always going to beat Ohio State, and now they're just going to truck a lesser team in Iowa.
I'd take the latter school of thought there. I just don't know how Iowa scores if Michigan doesn't help them. I saw a team total out there at 16 and a half, and I jumped on that. Like Michigan this year in 10 of 12 games committed 0 or 1 turnover. Iowa has gotten like 30% of their points directly off of a turnover. If Michigan doesn't help them, I don't think they can go the length of the field and score a bunch of points. So it's weird because there haven't been very many upsets in the playoff era, at least in terms of if you go back American and the Power Five leagues in the playoff era, there have been 28 instances where you've had a favorite of greater than 4 points. only one has lost the game outright, and that was Utah a couple of years ago to Oregon in the Pac-12 title game. So maybe we'll get a couple of upsets this year because you've got teams like Michigan and Cincinnati and Oklahoma State who've never been here before, never had to deal with this pressure with so much at stake. Maybe they will kind of clam up a little bit and not play the way they have for most of the year. But I like Michigan here. I think they do bounce back. I do think with so much at stake here, I think they come out and make life very, very difficult on Iowa.
And then again, kind of bigger picture, how do you feel about Michigan overall? They win this game, they go into the playoff. Do you think they can contend with a team like Georgia?
I don't. I think they can probably give them a little bit of problems in terms of Georgia being able to run the ball, but I don't think that's a good matchup offensively at all for Michigan. Like I think the flip side, like there's such a line of scrimmage, run game oriented offense. Like if they were somehow to match up with Georgia, I would tend to think it would be a very low scoring game. It would be a Michigan team total under game, and I'd probably feel pretty good about laying the points with Georgia. But hey, for Michigan to be here after all the crap they took last year and all the ridiculous Jim Harbaugh statements and sentiments about how we can't coach for the Wolverines to be here on the cusp of a college football playoff, beat Ohio State last week, it's been a very successful season for them.
Yeah, I was seeing around like 8 to 9 or to 1 or so for Michigan. I'm just thinking if Alabama drops out, they get the 2 seed, and I don't know who's going to be there in 3. I don't know how challenging of a matchup that'll
that's
be.
The thing. You probably play Cincinnati. Cincinnati probably, and it would be if Georgia were to win, you'd probably get Cincinnati, Michigan in a 2-3 game, and then you'd get Georgia, Oklahoma State in a 1 versus 4, and I certainly would like Georgia in that matchup as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Some teams that probably don't have a good shot at the playoff, to say the least, I guess. But it's still, I like these a lot, though. These are always fun because sometimes they're an afterthought, and it is weird because I'm joking, but we actually have a group of 5 team that is very live for the playoffs for once this year. But yeah, the Fun Belt, a little bit lower down the totem pole. App State laying 2 against the Raging, 2.5 against the Raging Cajuns. Total 53 here. Did you make a bet on this one?
Yeah, I like Louisiana in this game, and I feel like most of the people I've talked to do, whether it's been myself, Stanford Steve, Greg McElroy, like we're kind of all there, and then that's I don't mind being on the same game as those guys. And I know the first meeting this year was a 4 turnover deal where App State kept turning the ball over, but at the same time, I like the situation for Louisiana in that last year you couldn't play the conference championship game because of COVID. 2 years ago, you lost a close one to Appalachian State. You're a senior-laden, upperclassman type group. Your coach is on the way out the door. Levi Lewis's decision making is improved over the year. Like I like Louisiana getting points here. Maybe I'm on a bad side as a short home dog, but I'll take the Cajuns here plus the points.
And this is in Louisiana, right? This is not a neutral site one. No. I think that's such a big thing too for App State with the team with such a good, outside of like altitude teams, that's a nasty home field, especially late in the year. It's a long drive down to Boone from wherever you have to land. It's the College Station of the Ozarks, the Appalachia there. Last one we wanted to touch on, Utah State, San Diego State. God, what time is this game? This feels like a late one. This feels like
no, it's early.
Oh, this one is early. Look at this. Nice. Oh, the late. God, the late one's the hilarious Pac-12 game that is really I'm calling it the 8th place game, or the 7th and 8th place game that they're going to hold for some reason.
Something.
Yeah, the late game is Iowa. That's funny, but yeah, a West Coast game in the middle of the afternoon, and 5.5 point spread, total 49.5 here. Aztecs. Oh God, what is it? Aggies?
Utah State Aggies, exactly.
Yeah.
Logan, Utah.
Yeah, is it? And where is this one too? Is this
No, this is at San Diego State. No,
okay.
This is at San Diego State in their stadium in Carson there, wherever they're playing. And I just don't trust San Diego State to score a bunch of points. I think once this year in Mountain West play. They've scored more than 28 points, and that was way back earlier in the season against New Mexico. And I know Logan Bonner's nicked up a little bit, but I'd have to assume that he's going to go. Like I trust Utah State and that offense to be able to score 24 points in this game, which is probably going to be good enough to get the cover. So, yeah, I liked it better at 6, but I'd still consider taking Utah State plus 5.5.
Yeah, that's crazy that I'm still just stuck on this late game. Like you have a get back. It's kind of like the Hawaii get back game.
And
Like the real degens are going to be betting USC California.
and
Like
be real careful. Excuse me. I'm up early here in Las Vegas, so I apologize for the mid sentence yawn. But yeah, I've heard some things about SC this week at practice where their players are essentially, let's just say, lick the stamp and mail it in. And practice has been very optional this week, so we'll see if they decide to show up tomorrow and play. This one could be a live betting bonanza if you catch my drift.
it does have the feel of one of those like bowl game that nobody wanted to go to games. Like, oh man, we lost our last 3 games and we're going to like the Cheez-It Bowl and nobody wants to be here. Or you get one of those cold weather ones where you got to go to Detroit or New York and nobody likes that anyway. So no, that'll be an interesting one. So
Cal minus 9.5 plus 150.
Yeah, maybe we take some Cal alts. Here we go. Yeah, and it looks like the
Yeah.
Cal line is getting steamed.
Yeah, so that word may be out.
So, all right. Well, what will you be taking in out there in Vegas?
Well, I early this morning I did Gil Alexander's show at BC, so I'm literally sitting in the Racing Sportsbook right now with South Point. I just had my game day production meeting, and I did your show, and then I'll go grab some breakfast after that. But no, we have the Pac-12 title game tonight. Is what Kirk and Chris and Holly Rowe are calling tonight, and then after the game tonight, we're gonna take that overnight flight east to Atlanta, and College Game Day will be live from Atlanta tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So going to be a sleep on the plane, get a little nap at the hotel, and do the show. Take a little nap afterwards, and then go back into the Mercedes-Benz Georgia Dome or whatever they're calling it now. I know it's Mercedes-Benz, and I'm fired. I can't wait to be in that building tomorrow for that game. It's been a while since I've been able to just kind of watch a game as a fan. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, at least the excitement of those games should help it along. But Christ, you're gonna need some coffee too. That sounds like a
bad rest spot for you.
Yeah, bad rest, kind of a bad rest spot.
Team, I'd be betting
back
against
to back.
Exactly. Yeah, I would definitely be looking at some alt lines, looking for some plus money against me. That's for sure.
No, so well, we'll let you get after it then. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the insights. Good luck in all your bets this weekend. Have fun in Vegas. Have fun traveling. Have fun in Georgia, and have fun with this weekend. And again, appreciate the time. And have a good one, Chris.
Of course, you guys have a great weekend as well.
Now, Andy, what do you think of the South Point hot dogs? I kind of like them.
I've never been. I feel bad. Every trip I go, I'm like, God, I should get down to South Point. I never. It's that in the Mob Museum. Never make it.
The Mob Museum is the one. I like going to the South Point because the Pinball Hall of Fame is about halfway on the way back. So you go to South Point, get some stuff, get some hot dogs, a little pinball, and you're right back home.
Yeah, I'm probably betting all these games just for fun. Because
you have to.
I will actually. I'll have kind of a light Saturday. We might be going picking out a Christmas tree at some point, so maybe it's not a super light Saturday.
Yeah, technically, you're supposed to spend Saturday with the family.
Yeah, I know. So it is a Saturday family day. Maybe I can convince them to watch some football. That's a family activity. Before we run, we'll run through some NBA and college bets to get you on your way this weekend. Starting with the big boys. Alex, you want to take her away with some association?
Yeah, big slate today. Only 2 things stuck out to me. Some kind of strange situations. The Heat with a bunch of players out have led us to Pacers -5. I don't have no what to do with there. The Timberwolves might be kind of interesting in some way, shape, or form, but hard to figure out with Karl Anthony Towns out. Thought about the Sixers at plus money, but it looks like Tobias Harris is going to miss tonight. That Lakers Clippers game, kind of weird with AD. It looks like he's going to be out, but LeBron James might be in. But a few things did stick out to me. We'll start with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, ever since they've had Mobley and Jarrett Allen together, Mobley finally back healthy, they're just really a devastating team on the defensive end. It's tremendously difficult for teams to score against them. Got the win over a depleted Heat team in Miami, but still something to be proud of. A little concern, maybe it's the last game of a road trip for them, but they face a Washington Wizards team that has been a little bit up and down, and I think it's just a tough matchup here for the Wizards. The Cavaliers are, again, all those bigs are going to be able to slow down Bradley Beal. They have the guards there. I don't think Kuzma or anybody's going to be able to do too much down low. Thought maybe about an under, but really like the Cavs here. Was able to grab +4, seeing some 3.5s. Would draw the line probably at 3 here. I have this, Wizards -1 or so. So, like the Cavaliers, and we'll continue to bet them until we kind of get the proper adjustment for how good Mobley and Jarrett Allen have been together defensively. And then the other play, again, kind of a hold your nose play. The Pelicans have just been tremendously bad this year, but getting 7.5 points against a Mavericks team that a little beat up. It's tough to figure out whether Porzingis is going to be in or not. Either way, I like kind of the confusion that creates on the court. I actually kind of rather have Porzingis in here tonight if we can. But again, New Orleans with Valanciunas, with Brandon Ingram finally back, are starting to play some really nice basketball. It's a team, where everyone's kind of got comfortable in their roles here. And I think things, again, they're just a little late here in adjusting for Ingram being back and how solid they played the last couple of weeks. I have this game right around 4. So happy to take the Pelicans. Was able to grab a +8 earlier. +7's good. 6.5's probably fine too. I'll draw the line there. So just 2 NBA picks tonight. I'll send out some first quarter plays if I see anything I like or any adjustments. But be careful, folks. A lot of weird stuff going on, and it is Friday.
It is a Friday, which you can still bet on a Friday. Don't bet NBA on a Sunday. Ever. Ever, 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 ever.
Just underdogs on Sundays.
And yes, Griffin Hatton. Happy Mark Morrison Day. It is the return of the MAC. You got to extend your A a little because it's the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. College basketball has gotten weirder every year as far as having some conferences have done like split schedules where they have conference games to start, and then they go to some non-conference and back to conference. I know COVID made everything weird, but yeah, we are already in conference play for a few of the leagues, and the MAC is no different. I have 2 plays up there, and these numbers, one of them at least, is on the move a little. Fairfield is getting some steam. Made me feel pretty good that a couple other people I trust, especially some people that, let's say, live near this kind of area, are also in the Fairfield business, because I couldn't get this anywhere close to Fairfield being a dog. They're actually a 2-point dog earlier in the day. I'd play them as a several point favorite, to tell you the truth, but I'm going to take the money line straight up. It's still available at plus money several places here against, and this is one I've never nailed, Canisius, the shittier of the 2 upstate New York teams. Maybe a little bit of a travel spot, I guess you can say, because you do have to go up to Buffalo to play them. But at the same time, Fairfield hasn't played since Sunday. So it's not like this is some nasty back-to-back spot where they got to drive all the way up to, upstate New York. So I think they definitely get the win here. Quinnipiac, the other Connecticut team in the MAC, as Dan pointed out, I was betting only Nutmeg State teams, takes on St. Peter's here. This is another one where they do, again, maybe a bit of a travel spot, I guess. If it weren't a home game, Quinnipiac is hosting St. Peter's up in Hamden, and they're a nice, quick-paced team with a decent enough shooting squad for a team like this, who, granted, the schedule hasn't been super tough here. They opened the season getting blasted by Maryland, but I liked how they looked the last couple of games out, and they are shooting well enough for me to make them less than the 4-point favorite they are right now, 4-point dog right now. SC State, this is my stinky one for the night. Again, somebody else, a couple other people like this as well too. Another one where, what am I going to say? They're a horrible team. This is a bad team. It's a bottom 25, bottom 30 team in the country. I just don't respect South Florida that much. And I think they can do enough to stay close. This is a team that has stayed close with other teams of their ilk. They took Citadel to overtime before losing. Like, I should go see what the spread was. They lost by 12 in overtime. Like, I'm sure that maybe was close to being an overtime bad beat. But yeah, South Florida, I certainly don't have them beating South Florida, but South Florida's offense stinks out loud. They can't shoot the ball at all. I don't see how this doesn't end up being a close game just based on South Florida being a little inept. And then finally, New Orleans. Alex, any guess on the mascot here? It's not similar. It's similar to your alma mater,
Magellans?
the Privateers.
The Privateers.
It has a feel of like
That's
the
very fun. That's
Explorers.
interesting.
Like
No,
it feels
I
like there's
definitely
a
would've gone there.
wheel or something in their mascot as well.
I
So
like it. They're in the same area.
yeah, New Orleans down in the ugly Southland taking on Louisiana. I make this closer to like a 5 or a 6, truthfully. And it's another case of I don't like New Orleans. I don't think they're a good team, but Louisiana is not good at shooting the ball. Their effective field goal percentage is horrid. They shoot the ball pretty poorly from 2 and 3. They're not even a good free throw shooting team. It's just kind of a bad offense who has played pretty well on defense so far. That doesn't get it done against shitty teams like this when you give them double digit spreads. I think we see a nice close game here, despite this one being in Louisiana. But again, we're New Orleans to God, where does Lafayette? I suppose I don't know where Lafayette is. Either way, it's in state. It's not like it's a
It's in
bad
Louisiana.
travel spot. Yeah, they're both in the same state.
It's not very good.
We'll wrap it with that. Kind of a super show day. A lot of football, a lot of basketball. I'm gonna go talk some golf now. Last thing before Dan clicks buttons here. Totals, my secret totals I talked about, they did well. And they're doing well, and the back testing's going well. I'm probably gonna bet some this afternoon. Follow me in the BETSPERTS app at Andy. You can
Good.
set up notifications if you want. I'm probably gonna put some totals in the queue today, so look for that in a few hours.
I like it.
And have a good weekend.